2019, someone at the now world-famous Hunan seafood market in Wuhan was infected with the virus from an animal. The rest is part of an awful history still in the making, with Covid-19 spreading from that first cluster in the capital of China's Hubei province to a pandemic that has killed about 125,000 people so far. So, what is a coronavirus? Coronaviruses are a family of viruses that cause diseases in animals. 7, including the new virus, have made the jumps to human, but most just cause cold-like symptoms. But there is an uncertainty about several aspects of the Covid-19 origin story that scientists are trying hard to unravel. This has led to some of the most unprecedented, spine-chilling, eerie and scary conspiracy theories surrounding Covid-19. Here are some of them. Number 1. The Chinese cover-up. Ever since the news about the coronavirus was picked up by global media, speculations about the Communist government of China trying to cover up the outbreak and hide the official figures were rife. The fact that the Chinese government tried to suppress the attempts of the whistleblowers who tried to warn the public of the pandemic is rather alarming and didn't help their cause. While the rumors of the Chinese cover-up are unsubstantiated, one can only think about the popular proverb, "There is no smoke without fire." Number 2. Biological warfare. The internet has been brimming with conspiracies about the coronavirus, and perhaps one of the most prominent ones is that the virus could be a bioweapon. According to an ET Prime report, a group of Chinese scientists in Canada were accused of spying and were stripped of their access to Canada's National Microbiology Lab, which is known to work on some of the most deadly pathogens. The alleged policy breach highlighted the bioweapon program of other countries, including China. Dr. Francis Boyle, the creator of Bioweapons Act, also claims that the coronavirus is an offensive biological warfare weapon with DNA genetic engineering. Number 3. Origin at the seafood market and its rapid spread. In December 2019, 27 of the first 41 people hospitalized passed through a market located in the heart of the Wuhan city. However, according to a study conducted at a Wuhan hospital, the very first human case identified did not frequent this market. This raises questions about the link between this COVID-19 epidemic and the wildlife. Following are the opinion of some of the top experts dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic in relation to its origin.
Today, the coronavirus is impacting over 100 countries around the world. Billions of lives are at risk. And from what is said by the Chinese Communist Party, this allegedly started spontaneously in the seafood market in Wuhan, China. Wuhan is the capital of Hubei province, the largest city in central China. Huanan Seafood Market is located in Jianghan district of Wuhan City and is a large, comprehensive market that includes pork and a variety of frozen seafood, flavored spices, as well as some game meats. The first thing that received public attention about the epidemic was an internal notice from the Wuhan Health Commission. There has been a continuous occurrence of pneumonia cases of unknown cause. The notice issued on December 30, 2019, clearly required all medical units to report similar cases of unknown pneumonia. As early as January 7th, an academic, Zhang Yongzhen, from the National Institute of Communicable Disease Control and Prevention, along with the School of Public Health of Fudan University, submitted a joint paper to Nature. The paper was published on February 3rd and pointed out that the Wuhan coronavirus is closely related to CoV-ZC45 and CoV-ZXC21, two viruses sampled from bats in Zhoushan by the People's Liberation Army. The Wuhan coronavirus has an 89.1% nucleotide similarity to the CoV-ZC45 virus and even exhibits 100% amino acid similarity in the NSP7 and E proteins.
14 patients not related to Huanan Seafood Market at all. That clearly means another source of outbreak. I think somehow this could be a malfeasance or somewhat intentionally cover up some important source of infection.
It can go a long way to covering up the actual source by imposing a false place, and you're not looking at the actual victims. Then you're only allowed to find your keys under the light post.
The numbers that we're getting from China about new infections and deaths are highly suspicious. We know that Beijing for 6 weeks in December and January suppressed information of the epidemic. And then when they officially acknowledged it on January 20, they then started a campaign of suppression of information. We know that because the central leading group that was announced on January 26 has a 9-person roster, and it's very heavy with propaganda officials. Indeed, the vice chairman of the group is the Communist Party's propaganda czar. It appears that the party's main goal here is suppression of information, controlling the narrative. That's more important to them than actually ending the epidemic.
I was in China when SARS happened, and we were evacuated, and it was exact same thing. There's no transparency. They tried as long as they could to cover it up until finally it was just like with the coronavirus, they could no longer cover it up, and then they proceeded to act. I mean, I think from my perception back then, their response to it is exactly the same.
In short, scientists found the Wuhan coronavirus, the current pandemic, is highly similar to a bat SARS-like coronavirus previously discovered by the Nanjing Military Research Institute, showing 100% amino acid similarity in NSP7 and envelope protein, the E protein. What does this high similarity reveal?
Hard to see a protein is 100% identical when the virus jumps species. And so that was suggesting maybe the virus could be generated with a reverse engineer process.
I certainly believe that the 100% amino acid similarity says it can't possibly be a natural mutation. It almost certainly is a recombination event that was laboratory driven.
Chinese Academy of Sciences published a paper in Science China Life Sciences that mentioned an important phenomenon. The sequence of a key part of S protein of Wuhan virus has high homology with the SARS virus. What are S proteins? In the well-known coronavirus picture, they are little mushrooms attached to the surface of the virus. These S proteins, also known as spine proteins or spike proteins, are the most important tool for the coronavirus to invade human cells. If we compare the receptor, ACE2, on the cell surface of human bodies to a lock, this S protein is the key, which can unlock this lock on the cell surface and then invade into the cell to propagate and destroy it.
That means virus now can infect human cell much easier. That's probably also one of the important reasons that contributing to multi-organ failure when people have a very severe disease. They can spread out in the human body much faster.
Well, the S proteins, the high similarity of the S proteins from SARS-1 to now SARS-2, that's your spike protein. That's the lock and key. That's going to be what drives it right through human cells. And so we know that's the pathogenic spike protein that for the original SARS. So now you're allowing that access to human tissues because the spike proteins of the natural evolutionary strains don't infect human cells at all. So that research has been going on at Wuhan and published since 2007. And clearly, if that spike protein from SARS weren't on the new Covid19 or SARS-2, it wouldn't be able to enter human cells. So again, this is evidence that it couldn't go through the Wuhan seafood market, because how did you get that spike protein off the original SARS from bats or any other way? It's lab derived.
Since the SARS outbreak in 2003, Shi Zhengli has been conducting research on coronaviruses. From 2010 onward, the focus of Shi and her team was redirected to identifying the capacity for coronavirus transmission across species, specifically putting the spotlight on the S protein of the coronaviruses. In other words, her team's research in the Wuhan lab has been looking into the part that can make coronaviruses transmittable to humans. In June 2010, a team including Shi Zhengli published a paper. It describes research to understand the susceptibility of angiotensin converting enzyme 2 ACE2 proteins of different bat species to the S protein of the SARS virus. In the experiments, they also modified key amino acid condoms to mutate the bat's ACE2 to examine compatibility with the SARS S protein. This paper demonstrated their awareness of the special relationship between the S protein and the ACE2 receptor. It also signified that she had unearthed the passageway for coronaviruses into human bodies. In October 2013, she and her team published a paper in the authoritative science journal Nature. They claimed a breakthrough in coronavirus research. What was their breakthrough? They successfully isolated 3 viruses from bats, one of which had an S protein that integrated with human ACE2 receptors. This effectively demonstrated the human infection of SARS-like viruses to humans without the need of an intermediary host. Then, in November 2015, she and her team at the Wuhan lab once again published a paper, this time in the British journal Nature Medicine. They discussed the creation of a synthetic virus, a self-replicating chimeric virus. This virus had the SARS virus as the framework, with the key S protein replaced by the one they had found in a bat coronavirus she mentioned in her 2013 paper. This new virus demonstrated a powerful ability for cross-species infection. The mice infected with this synthetic virus revealed severe lung damage with no cure. This symbolized that Xi's successful splicing of the SARS virus was a key to open the door to the cross-species transmission. What is startling is that these successful experiments on mice were only the tip of the iceberg. They planned to further experiment on primates. Although Shi Zhengli did not indicate any conclusion from this research, her move to research on primates suggests this was to more closely simulate the infection of humans with this new synthetic virus. This wasn't done without controversy, however. Xi's experiments quickly triggered widespread debates from the academic community. Simon Wayne Hobson of the Pasteur Institute in France expressed deep concerns. He told Nature, if the new virus escaped, nobody could predict the trajectory. Propagation could happen anywhere.
His statement is exactly what's happening, that the virus is everywhere, and it could not spread that fast through various countries unless it's been spread via laboratories, via the mail, via research scientists studying that. Additional studies very strongly support the idea that this new coronavirus came from a recombination event, that is a cutting and pasting of 2 different viruses. So her work proves or strongly supports the hypothesis that it could not possibly have been generated in a natural zoonotic transmission, but had to come from a hospital setting, the laboratory setting, almost certainly the biosafety level for Wuhan research facility.
However, this did not terminate Xi's research. On November 14, 2018, Shi Zhengli spoke at the School of Life Sciences and Biotechnology at Shanghai Jiaotong University. The topic was bat coronavirus and its cross-species infection. Reports of this event have since been deleted from the university website.
I hope all of you enjoyed watching this. Please stay home, stay safe, practice social distancing. This too shall pass. Thank you for watching.